Good morning, Arizona. This is Kyle Smith,
This was set up, yeah.
and this is Bread and Circus. Back for a new semester, and if you're watching on YouTube, this is our first time recording in video, so you can see our mediocre faces.
We're not so bad, you and I, Kyle.
Well, I didn't say we're bad. I said mediocre. You know what is really bad right now? This country, damn it.
I think most people can agree on that. I think most people think we're headed in the right direction.
Um, Everything's just been a big oof, as the Zoomers would say, as the kids would say, been a big oof. Though not for the same reasons other people would say. People are, I'm disappointed in this country for the quote unquote riots. I had someone tell me that they were a little embarrassed to be white over that, and I had to let them know. As a Latino man myself, I said, that's pathetic. Have some pride.
Well, I mean, everybody's looking at the riots as like this is this terrible thing, and the optics are terrible. So anybody who's supporting that, you're a bad person automatically.
Now, very very important for us to start off with. This is a very fiery topic we're starting off with, and this happened almost 2 weeks ago, but we've been off air. So we here at Bread and Circus do not endorse violence of any kind, especially political violence. 5 people died, one of them being an officer. I believe someone threw a fire extinguisher and it hit him in the head, I think is what happened. We do not support any of that. However, the general sentiment of protesting at the Capitol building and even quote unquote intrusion into the Capitol building, guess what? I'm okay with that. You know, and it's so hypocritical. For a whole year we heard about, riots are the voice of the unheard and like mostly peaceful. A lot of kowtowing, a lot of excuses for riots that harmed the general population, just normal people. Just normal people had their businesses burnt, their places of work, people assaulted in the streets, died even. And now people finally take that their displeasure to the people in power, to Congress, which is the highest criminal class of the land. And now, oh my God, can you believe it? Pelosi's stand got taken, and people were rummaging in offices. Oh my God, the humanity.
What about the people who said that somebody stole Pelosi's laptop and was going to sell that info to the Russians? That's believable.
Yeah, I believe that. She got arrested, but um, what I'm trying to say is just the general hypocrisy, or even people who are genuinely, like they said, a cab and this and that, and we're larping as anarchists for an entire year. All of a sudden, no. When we said overthrow the people in power of the government, we didn't mean those people. We didn't mean the actual people in government. We just say that. Right.
Well, I think people just look at it as you lost, and this is just you throwing a hissy fit, you throwing a tantrum. You didn't get you didn't get the result you wanted.
But I think that what we saw at the Capitol went far further than just Trump. I think general displeasure of what people perceive as a corrupt Congress and federal government, uh, lockdowns for an entire year that people perceive as a political job rather than actual policy, which was authoritarian regardless. Um, I, People are generally displeased with the United States government. I think it went far beyond just Trump, and there were people there who weren't even Trump supporters or conservatives, and whether they were there as plants or they generally wanted to be there because they have gripes against federal government too. It wasn't just all Trump supporters, as shown by several arrests.
But the media, which is backed by the government, is not going to admit that any of its side was on is part of that. They're going to try to push all the blame on the Republicans, anybody who's a Trumpist or
Well,
Trumpers.
exactly. And what doesn't help is that Republicans are too spineless to fight back against it. They've already lost the spine Trump gave them, right?
Yeah,
They're falling over themselves like, oh my God, this was despicable and
disgusting.
disgusting. And, Pence showing all his like emotion over that. And I'm like, Pence, you establishment crony. Where was all this passion for 4 years, you punk?
Bad man's gone, and they're just dancing.
You know, and then several Republicans reconsidered them contesting the election over what happened, and nothing that happened was worth changing your entire perception, your entire plan over. The actions of a few people getting into the Capitol building shouldn't change your general national policy. We're talking about an election that affects the entire nation of 330 million, and you're concerned about 300 people and what they did. It makes zero sense. It's not principled. Republican Party needs to die.
What's going to take its place? Is Trump going to create a new party?
I would hope a much better party that encapsulates more libertarianism. Because right now, Republican Party, I don't care if I don't care if they win another election. They're garbage. They're spineless.
Do you think somebody could perhaps take the mantle of the Republican Party into 2024 and try to reshape it, not in the image of Donald Trump, perhaps, but maybe some sort of middle ground?
They can, especially if they keep losing, and because I do not believe the elected officials of even in the Republican Party fit the mold of now their voter base.
Right, because most people wanted Trump. 74 million people wanted Trump. Who's going to capture that vote now?
Well, all we have to do is look back to the 2015, 2016 primaries, and Trump just pulled the rug right from under them. Right? Everyone has such short memory. Remember back then, Republican establishment didn't want Trump. They hated him. They did everything they could to stop him, and they couldn't. The Trump train just ran right through them. He took their voter base right from under them. And now Republicans are thinking like, oh, we don't need Trump, and oh, we can get rid of him now, that outsider. But they don't have the support of the Republican base anymore. The Republican base is now the Trump base. It's not even the Republican Party base.
Yeah, seems to be a large discrepancy there.
And it's really short-sighted for establishment Republicans to then jump off the Trump train, because right now it's all they got as far as I can see.
I think the Republicans kind of know that they need to capture lightning in a bottle again if they want to win, but I don't think they're good at winning. I don't even know who's even a contender at this point. Ron DeSantis?
Trump. 2024 Trump.
He's gonna be old, man. He's gonna be 74.
He got a lot of energy.
78.
He'll be old. Probably still younger than Biden, but
Biden's 78 now. I think he's the oldest president ever elected.
Yes, but another thing, the Capitol riots, as I kind of touched on upon, the Capitol riots showed me is that for all this talk about the elite class and even from far lefties, just being like, the elites, the rich. Despite all that, we still let the elite class rule us because we let them. We revere them as such. As to me, the response to Capitol Hill was cultish, is religious. It's like, oh my God, my sacred cathedral, the Capitol Hill. Look what people did. They got in, and I heard about like, oh, the violence and things like that. And you just look at it, all these unarmed people did all this that they could, and all they wanted to do was get in and mess around and take selfies, right?
Yeah.
If they wanted to do some real damage, they could have. They didn't. And just the sensationalism, the clutching at pearls. The symbol of democracy. Oh, it was desecrated. Guess what? Good. I'm becoming. You know what? I'm starting to think democracy is oppressive. It is. It's literally just
the tyranny of the majority.
It is literally just a hyped up popularity contest. There's no just because something's the popular opinion doesn't make it any right or wrong. Doesn't even make it morally right or wrong. And so now America is becoming so divided now. To me, it no longer makes sense to have a federal government have so much power over all 50 states when all 50 states now are becoming more and more different from each other. And so people say, "Oh, the symbol of democracy, good. Let it die." And that's not to say I want a tyrannic. That's literally opposite. I'm becoming more anar- libertarian and anarchical,
Anarchistic?
whatever the word is,
Anarchy.
and just let people do their own thing.
Just let me grill.
I just want to grill, for God's sakes.
The government shouldn't need to step in and tell us all this stuff. And I think the fact that different states are handling things differently, if you look at Florida, a lot of the places they don't have any mask policies versus California and New York. People are living very different lives in different parts of the country. They no longer have the same view.
All right, and then what I was saying about the elite class is that you know, and the elites feel the same way, right? You see how up in arms Democrats get because Republicans evil. Look at what they did. They protested at the Capitol. How could they? When you've had an entire year of common folk beating and killing each other, right? That's okay, right? You could set up an autonomous zone, in Seattle, and multiple people die in it, and that's fine until they start protesting at the Seattle mayor's house, and then they shut it down, right? Or Ted Wheeler in Portland, right? He's supportive of Antifa until they start coming to his apartment. Then he's got to shut him down. And then he's got to call in the feds, right? It is okay when you common folk kill each other in the BLM riots we've seen all year, but as soon as you just take a podium, as soon as you leave some graffiti in the Capitol, all bets are off. Now we got to call in 25,000 armed guards for our elite class.
Yep, that inauguration was something else.
Yeah, and without those 25, what did we see Congress was? A bunch of punks hiding behind desks.
Weak.
That's all they were. If you've seen those pictures and you think, these are the people deciding when we go to war, when we send sons and daughters to war, or coming up, maybe we send police officers to confiscate previously legally owned weapons. These are the people deciding that. These pansies.
And I hear Biden's talking about moving more troops into the Middle East.
Well, of course he is.
Yay.
Of course he is. He didn't learn anything from his dead son.
Oof.
We on fire. I don't really care about being civil or whatever. I'm here to drop truth bombs, just like Obama was doing. Only those are real bombs on real hospitals. But hey,
how soon people forget?
Hey,
Kyle.
when you talk real nice and you're civil on Twitter, then that's okay. Everything's cool. But hey, you talk a little smack on Twitter, but you don't start any new wars. No.
Warmonger. Dictator.
Uncivil Twitter, but less wars. Dropping bombs on hospitals, hand suits, and you talk nice. Yeah.
Well,
wait, we're just here, just rambling. The federal government sucks.
They never cared about.
I thought, right? I thought that this was something the right and left could come together on, right? That the federal government sucks. Like, that's what everyone says. So I thought that'd be something that drove right and left together, like regardless of the policies they want, drive them together. But it doesn't. As soon as the left gets their guys in, it's like, yay, give the government more power, and it makes no sense. They year after year they can see government incompetence, and their solution is just to give them more power. It makes zero sense, and that is why I'm becoming more libertarian and more for as little government as possible, because they just usually make things worse.
What do you say to the libertarians who voted for George Jorgensen in the election?
principled but dumb. You can be both. I admire your principle for voting third party. I want a new party. Because as I said, I hate Republicans too. I still don't hate them as much as Democrats.
They're just spineless. They're
Well,
cowards.
that's the thing. Republicans play to get liked on MSNBC. Democrats play to win, right? They'll throw out every dirty trick in the book. As we're seeing now, all of a sudden Biden's elected, and we see Whitmer is opening up her state, almost saying, "Oh, we can't stay shut down. We got to open up." DC is opening up. It's almost like all these lockdown policies that even the World Health Organization said shouldn't be the main source of fighting the virus months ago. Now all these states and cities are opening up. How curious. It's almost like it was all political to make Trump's presidency look worse.
Yep.
They sabotage their own cities and states, their own constituents, their own people, so that they could try and get Trump out.
And they succeeded. So perhaps they'll look at it as the ends justifying the means.
But did they, though? But did they succeed? Was it through fraud? The big questions. That's another thing. I'm not going to say 100% that the election was fraudulent, but we had concerns about interference in the last election. We had 2 years of an investigation that went nowhere, led to nothing. Millions of dollars spent, 2 years, over very little evidence, if any. Now we have concerns here. There are real anomalies, and there are small instances of fraud. That's why they always say there's no evidence of widespread fraud, because there have been instances of fraud, just not quote unquote widespread enough that would turn the election. So we have concerns here, and Republicans can't get an audit. They can't get an investigation. Nothing. So that's on them too, because they're really not fighting for it.
No, they're not. The CIA is hiding stuff. The Director of National Intelligence even admits as much, that they're trying to downplay the interference of China in the election.
Yes, I saw that report. Yes.
It's right there. It's spelling it out for us, and people just refuse to listen. Some fishy's happening. Something fishy did happen.
I think things have always been fishy. This country smells of fish. Smell that? The fish fry up in here.
Don't like it.
No. Speaking of China and more hypocrisy, oh boy, are we? It is going to be curious to see what our current policy is, the U.S. on China, because China is, well, Biden's in China's pocket, and China remains our most feared enemy by far.
Yep. Nobody's talking about it. The biggest elephant in the room, I think,
is China. But on Trump's second to last day in office, the U.S. officially declared that the Chinese are committing genocide against Uyghurs in the Chinese state. You don't know, Uyghurs are Muslims. They're putting them in camps. The U.S. is the first country to officially declare genocide. It took a while for the U.S., but we were still first. And I loved that move by Trump, because it paints Biden in a corner. It's even as deep as in bed he is with China, you can't just retract that.
Oh no, you're not committing genocide.
Yeah,
my mistake.
You can't just retract that. So
Yeah.
I love that move. China sucks. They're terrible.
I feel like Trump should have pardoned Assange, though. I feel like
I was very disappointed he didn't pardon Assange and Snowden. Yes, I would have. He got my boy Lil Wayne, but he should have. Assange especially. Snowden, he's off somewhere fine. It's not a. But Assange is my boy's locked up, so
let him out.
I wish he did pardon Assange. Yes. Now, hey. I have criticisms for Trump, okay? Okay? He ain't perfect. He needed to drain the swamp more.
He did.
Because he took, as we've said, he took total control of the Republican Party and then let up a bit. Shouldn't have let up at all. He should have driven all the snakes out. Should have kept beating that grass. He beat that grass in the primaries, and he's like, I could use some of you snakes. And they were useful for a bit. But they're snakes.
Yep.
So they when
Can't trust a snake.
nope, and they just bit him in the butt. I never liked the pick of Pence ever from the beginning. Some of his cabinet members, like he got rid of them eventually, like John Bolton, people like that, but never should have been hired to begin with. And you see it now, as we've said, the Mitch McConnells of the world.
He should have picked Ted Cruz, man. Ted Cruz showed some balls there at the end.
Ted changed for the better. I like Ted. Anyways, we were talking about China.
Oh, yeah. Kind of not so good.
China. Okay, this is both China and social media. As people know, Trump has been like banned permanently or temporarily on basically all major social media sites. He's permanently banned on Twitter, which is just dumb. Twitter's continuing to fight against freedom of expression, the marketplace of ideals, as people would say. But this, I'm gonna read it to you right now. This from the Chinese embassy in the U.S., the official government account from China. Let me read these two tasty tweets to you, because we just talk about Uyghurs. Quote: Study shows that in the process of eradicating extremism, the minds of Uyghur women in Xinjiang were emancipated, and gender equality and reproductive health were promoted, making them no longer baby-making machines. They are more confident and independent. So there's a tweet outright. Just having newspeak for genocide, putting them into concentration camps. This other tweet: study shows that the population change in northwest China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region involves the overall improvement in population quality. An increasing number of youths chose to spend more time and energy on personal development.
Make it sound good.
Yeah. These tweets are still up, by the way. Chinese government accounts are not banned. Now I don't want to hear the excuse that they're government accounts because they banned Trump. They banned Trump's personal account, and even his POTUS account. Although that account was not outright banned, the reports are he still couldn't post from it. So the account existed, but he couldn't post from it. But you know,
some real dystopian crap now.
Yeah,
man.
but China just blatantly talking about their genocide now is and their enslavement of people. That's fine. That's cool. So I don't want to hear people are like, "Oh yes, yes, Queen, yes, Jack Dorsey, and yes, Lizard Man Zuckerberg, ban the people." And that's another thing too is totally hypocritical on the left. Is a decade ago we had Occupy Wall Street and things, and they still talk about how the millionaires and billionaires, right? But then they do this, and then all of a sudden they just fall in love. They're like, "Oh, my billionaires.
They're the good guys now.
Oh, my people in power, my elites." Because they're unprincipled. They have no principle. I mean, there are a few, like Glenn Greenwald, who is becoming more and more based, by the way, by the day. Just looking at his tweets. I don't have Twitter anymore, but when someone posts his tweets, I'm like, Glenn, I know you're a lefty, but man, are you getting based?
It's just so obvious now. They're just totally trying to shut down any dissenting opinion or thought, and it's just it's tiresome.
It's all about power, and the tech elites, the private elites, and the public elites in government are in bed together. It's very obvious. You know, people talk about like, oh, on Twitter you don't have free speech. They're an independent company, which is true, but this is obviously at the direction of public officials. You have people in Congress blatantly calling for the censorship of Donald Trump and other people on social media sites, and then they do it, and then like, is there a correlation there? Duh.
People
Um,
think it's okay. Rules
people,
for thee, not for me.
people, and also people go to the business rights when it's convenient.
Hmm.
So for Twitter, because they're banning Orange Man, that's cool. But small business, you want to open up to make sure you don't go under during the pandemic. Nope, not allowed. And that's just the left that talks about being in it for the little guy, right?
No, they
Get
ain't.
that money. No, they're not. All their policies have done is destroy small businesses. It has only raised the capital of big business during this pandemic.
Amazon.
Not only monetary capital but social, right? All you got to do is put a gay pride flag a month, and you donate a little here or there, and you make statements on Twitter when some event happens, and you say Black Lives Matter, and all of a sudden it's all good.
You're the
That
good
goes away.
guy.
You're no longer a target.
You're a good guy now.
It's okay. You can oppress me so long as it's a rainbow colored boot. That's okay. Can't be black boot. It's gotta be rainbow colored.
People just made their own. They just given up the power to these tech companies. There's almost nothing that the government has done about it. Trump didn't do anything about it. He didn't address it, and we're paying the price now for it, and so is he.
That is definitely something Trump dropped the ball on at the same time. Then I think did the free market just decide it, and I hopefully it'll get there. I know they're doing everything they can to shut down Parlor, but hope Parlor said hopefully they'll be back online by the end of the month or early February. There are workarounds. It's just really hard when as of right now, they're oligarchies and they're all in it together. It wouldn't be as hard if they weren't in league, but they obviously are. Maybe you have some antitrust stuff you gotta look at. I don't know, but I mean, it is so obvious they're in bed together. When even going back a year or two ago, when they all banned Alex Jones at once,
Just totally coordinated.
it was so obvious. It was all within like 2 days, and it was all on stuff that was old. It's not even like some big dramatic post he made, and then it was all on off old stuff or generalisms, and they all did it together within a couple days, and it's so obvious that they're in bed together.
Well, we elected the government that we deserve, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how what else to tell you. Are people finally gonna get the idea now that something's wrong now that they don't have the automatic bad guy to blame?
Well, now, here's another thing about the left, the people on the ground, the anarchists, the LARPers. Um, Twitter, as of today or yesterday, I'm not sure, um, is now purging Antifa profiles because again, you served your purpose.
Oh, you don't use you.
Antifa just had an attack on DNC headquarters in Portland, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so over that now a lot of Antifa accounts are getting banned because they serve their purpose, right? The 100 days plus of rioting in Portland before that, that was fine. That's okay. Uh, but now you're coming after my boys. You're coming after my boys in power. No, we need the Democrats. You're not allowed. Get out of here. You're right. The election's over. We won. We don't need you anymore.
Discarded, just like the Bernie Bros were.
Well, just like BLM said they've yet to meet with Biden. They reached out to him like months ago.
Who talked to him? Trump.
I don't know about the same BLM leaders, but they've talked to some people.
Where do we go from here now? Is the country less racist now that the racist is out
Oh,
of office?
racism's over. It's done. We've defeated it. It's over. It's canceled. Anyways, champs, we gotta wrap things up. This was great. First for obviously people listening, you can't see this, but video, that's cool. As you can see, this channel is still relevant. Shirt I'm wearing. Anyways, we will be back next week to complain some more.
Yes.
So until then, rage against the machine.
Rage Against the Dying of the Light.
Which is ironic because Rage Against the Machine is now part of the machine. But anyways, goodbye everybody. See you next weekend.